So why wasn't Houston evacuated before Hurricane Harvey? Hey everybody, it's Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show, which airs weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO. The next video you see from me will actually be next week, taking a few days off from the afternoon commentary and morning brief. But we'll be back next week with the videos here on the KFYO YouTube page. Well, there are a lot of people now wondering why the good folks down in Houston weren't evacuated prior to Hurricane Harvey making landfall. Everyone has to remember, Houston is a large city. And in fact, a lot of the towns that are being flooded aren't, well, Houston. They're different cities, but they're lumped into Houston overall as part of the urban sprawl that has happened. It's much like in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you're from one of the smaller cities that's near Dallas, oftentimes you go around and you say that you're from Dallas because maybe not a lot of people have actually heard where you're from. But Houston is a huge, huge city. You're talking millions and millions of people. So the question is, why weren't people evacuated? Well, there's no real good answer to that. And there's no real good answer for any of this, really, except to say that sometimes things happen. You have to go back to Hurricane Rita and past hurricanes as well, where Houston was evacuated, and during Hurricane Rita, you had people who died on the road, some due to heat exhaustion, others in a bus crash while they were making their way to Dallas from Houston. You never know exactly what's going to happen with a hurricane. You never know exactly where the rain is going to fall completely, and you never know exactly how long that rain will keep falling. Yes, the people in Houston did have some warning, but it wasn't a week's worth of warning. Remember early on when Harvey recomposed itself and was gaining steam to barrel into the coast, there were some people who thought Houston would get rain, but nobody was thinking 50 inches of rain. At least I wasn't hearing any forecast until about Thursday or Friday. And by that time, you can't evacuate millions and millions of people. Listen, I'm pretty sure that officials in Houston maybe missed the mark on one or two things. Everybody is going to miss the mark on one or two things when it comes to a natural disaster. And I applaud Governor Greg Abbott for saying, you know what, the decision to evacuate or not evacuate, that's in the past. We need to move forward. And I agree with the governor on that. Let's say the mayor of Houston did give the evacuation order for people to get out of Houston. What would have happened if all of those people would have taken to the streets? You're talking millions and millions of people not exactly knowing which way to go. They're in traffic jams, and then it starts raining. Then you have cars that are flooded, many, many more cars than what we're seeing right now. It could have been even a bigger disaster for the city of Houston. I don't necessarily blame the mayor for telling people not to evacuate the city. It seemed like a lot of the damage was going to be west of Houston, and then things changed, as they sometimes do with hurricanes. We pray for the people of Houston and southeast Texas. We pray for those along the coastline. We pray for those in and around Houston who are dealing with this flooding. But I see no reason to really second guess the mayor or the government when it comes to evacuation or not. We've seen in cases where there's really no good call. You're going to get blamed one way or the other. And sometimes when you do know what the good call is, you don't have enough time to get everybody out of the city. We still haven't perfected a way of airlifting 4 million people out of a major American city with hours to spare. We haven't come up with that idea yet. Another thing to think about on this, and this is something that has a larger message, I think, and it's about the role of the government. And I'm not trying to slam the mayor here, and I'm not trying to slam anyone in government. But remember this. ultimately, the decision is ours. The decision is yours. If you know that your street is prone to flooding just based off of a thunderstorm, most likely your street's going to flood if a hurricane is on its way. If we were hearing on Friday night that Houston was going to get way over 20 inches of rain and you know your street floods, maybe it's time to pack up and go. I know nobody wants to deal with looters, but when dealing with looters or risking your life in a storm and flooding rains, you have to see what is more valuable to you. We all have our own decisions to make. And what I fear is happening here is that we are getting rid of personal responsibility and putting it all on the government. That's not what we should be doing. A lot of good people stayed behind because, one, they did not want their property to be messed with. Two, they didn't think anything bad was going to happen. But for too many people, some things that I keep hearing is, we had no idea it was going to be this bad. Did you not watch the news? I saw stories of people with children with medical conditions where those children would need electricity and they would need clean water and they would need things that you don't get during a hurricane. Why did they not leave? Folks, you have to be prepared. And that's really the overarching theme here of this video. You have to be prepared. You can't rely on government to tell you when or when not to leave. You have to make those judgment calls for yourself. You have to be able to make those judgment calls for your family. I hope that we don't see a lot of bad cases come out of Houston. I hope we don't see a lot of death come out of Houston. My hope is that people were able to get high enough off the ground in order to be saved. I hope that a lot of people got out when they could. But remember this when we look into the future and figure out who's to blame for not enough people leaving the city of Houston. You're responsible for yourself, not the government. You cannot rely on the government to save you. You have to rely on yourself. Always be prepared. Always be prepared in a disaster, and always be prepared just in everyday life. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time News Talk 95.1 FM 790 a.m. KFYO. I also urge all of you as I wrap up this video to donate to those down in Houston. The Red Cross makes it real simple. All you have to do is text the word Harvey, Harvey, to 90999. And they're going to take $10 from you. That's going to be a $10 donation to the Red Cross. It makes it that simple. Again, text Harvey to 90999, and you will have an automatic $10 donation to the Red Cross. There are other many fine organizations that are helping out those down in Houston. It's going to take all of us Texans and all of us Americans a long time to get through all of this and to help out our neighbors and our friends down in Houston and throughout the coast of Texas. So my prayers, my thoughts are with those in the Houston and Gulf Coast. God bless you. I hope you get through this. We will get through this. And remember, don't forget, you can donate by texting Harvey at 90999. Folks, have a great day. Tune into the Chad Hasty Show and follow me on Twitter, Chad Hasty Radio. God bless.